Let's go! LSU versus UCLA film study. What are the Tigers going to have to do to stop Chip Kelly and the Bruins? And it's interesting because I really do believe this could be the DAMONE Clark game, okay? 1 of 5 for 14 yards, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He was very erratic. Missed a bunch of easy throws in this game, but it doesn't matter when you have a rushing attack that is just moving the football up and down the field. And this is UCLA's first touchdown. We'll get an end zone camera view in just a second. But as you see, this UCLA offensive line washes this Hawaii offensive line out of the play. And Zach Charbonnet runs into the end zone essentially untouched. Before we get this end zone camera view, we saw a lot of this last year with LSU. They also, like Hawaii, run a four-man front, and they would oftentimes get washed out of plays, their defensive linemen, and it would be costly, as you're seeing this very troublesome screenshot versus Missouri. Where this play is supposed to go is all the way out here, but you see Hawaii sees that just by the blocking schemes. This backside end has to stay with DTR because he is a running option, which is a very big key going into next season. LSU did not face many dual-threat quarterbacks at all. We're talking pure stonewall pocket passers. So this is going to be something new for LSU to deal with, Andre Carter and Ed Orgeron. And you notice here, this cutback angle is just wide open. This was very easy to read. Charbonnet, a very experienced former top 100 running back, a transfer from Michigan. He is actually the backup running back to Brown, the experienced UCLA runner. And you see there, he is untouched because he read this play backside. And this is what I'm talking about, washing. You see how these offensive linemen really didn't even push him back. They just washed him out. Charbonnet saw that this crossed his face. And when he sees that this end and this tackle and this backer are washing down to where this play's supposed to go, get vertical. So I know what you're thinking. LSU's defensive line is way better than that of Hawaii, and you're right. But it doesn't matter if your front seven and your safeties can't run fit, which is why we got to take a look at this play. This is Kyle Flood, the former Alabama offensive line coach who's now at Texas with Sark. And because Mac Jones wasn't a mobile quarterback, what they would do to hold outside backers and safeties would be these motions, okay? So essentially what this motion is going to do is stretch this defense out. But essentially what you'll see here from pretty much the exact same angle you saw in the UCLA, Alabama would do the same thing. And this was an issue for LSU last season. Far too often, these offensive guards would be able to get second level. And here's the guy that we're highlighting today, DAMONE Clark. This is his opportunity to have a big breakout game. The Baton Rouge natives who's on the Butkus Award watch list. But do you see how easy it was for a first-round pick, Alex Leatherwood, to get to the next level here? So essentially, you think that this play is going this way, right? But it's not, okay? What Kyle Flood was preaching here is if you see this defensive end right here cross your face right here against Miller Forrestall, the tight end, okay? So you see Andre Anthony gets really good penetration here. Actually beats Forrestall, and it looks like we're about to make this tackle, but you notice all these numbers here for LSU are getting washed this way, where the play was supposed to go. But that's the danger of a 4-3. It's easy to lose your run fits and balance, and you see it right here. Najee Harris sees that this guy crossed the face of Miller Forrestall, so what does he know to do? A lot like Zach Charbonnet, cut it back. And that's exactly what he does here. Now, this was a far more difficult cutback, and Najee Harris, of course, is one of the best backs you'll ever see in the SEC, but the point still remains the same, okay? The cutback was brilliant, once again a little pixelated, and Najee did the rest, and once again, here's Leatherwood on DAMONE Clark. Can Clark get off of blocks this year? Now, this was a really difficult block to get off of, but can he shed blocks and make plays? Okay, Todd Harris a little late. That motion, once again, pre-snap held him a little bit. And now Najee Harris makes an amazing cutback here. Another cutback. and then he cuts back into this open lane, and it was kind of like a slalom skier going down a hill, essentially. So you see LSU's run fits there were actually decent, okay? But the that backside cut, when you get it, when you backside cut like that, that's going to open up those lanes vertically. Okay, once again, this is Zach Charbonnet. Brown, their other running backs, also really good. And what you'll see on this play is Hawaii has it defended perfect, but we miss a tackler right here. Okay? Does DAMONE CLARK make this tackle? So here we go. Let's do some counting. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, 6 guys to go against their 5 guys here. Okay? But there's a twist to this. So the snap is here. This end crashes down to sit in this B gap. All these gaps here are full. So Charbonnet's trying to figure out where's he going to go. But Hawaii actually called a good run blitz here. And the blitzer's job is now to keep contain on the quarterback. So this is well defended. Good job with run fitting. And now it just comes down to number 1. Okay, now once again, if you wear a single-digit number, you should not, I've always tweeted this out, don't wear a single-digit number if you're not a playmaker. Look at how bad this missed tackle is. All we need you to do is fill and make this tackle. Now the question going into this game is, can DAMONE CLARK make this tackle against a good running back at Zach Charbonnet? Charbonnet didn't really even juke. He just runs right by him. Terrace, he's going to rip it. There's Carter Sheridan, the analyst, Eli Ricks. Terrace is going to rip it this year with the Panthers. So, a lot like Mac Jones, Eli Drinkowitz did a good job with pre-snap motion to simulate and get these ends. So what this pre-snap motion is essentially doing is forcing the contained guy to widen. Okay, but what LSU decides to do, and this is something that I would like to see them not do as much, and we did a pass defense study on this and a run defense study on this. What you see right here is actually Jacoby Stevens. I am not a big fan of right at the snap of the ball running your safety into the box, okay? And I'm going to show you why in just a second. So this is Jacoby Stevens right here. We'll get back to him in a second, but obviously the focus here is run defense, okay? So once again, this is combining both of Zach Charbonnet's runs, all right? So this runner right here sees that we blow this play up to where the play is supposed to go. Good job by Neil Farrell. Look at all this penetration while maintaining his gap responsibility. Ali Gay is jacking up this end and holding contain. Glenn Logan, who had a really rough year for his standards, actually beats his blocker. So we have the play side gaps full right here. And guess what happens? Our best athlete on the defensive line, B.J. Ojulari, beats his block to fill this backside B gap. And if for some reason he wanted to run this way, we have Jacoby Stevens right here. Once again, we'll get back to him in a second. So now we just need B.J. Ojulari to make this play. Okay, we have penetration. We have this filled. This is what Ed Orgeron envisions with a 4-3 defense, whereas Dave Aranda's 3-4, which is my personal preference, but still, you can run a 4-3 and it potentially be successful. This is the thing. You have your athletes on the defensive line getting penetration and filling these gaps, and we have our best athlete who had a strip sack in this game here to make this tackle versus this is actually Missouri's backup running back. Okay, so he beats his block. We need Ojulari to just jack this guy up, okay? And not only do we have B.J. Ojulari, we also have Jabril Cox right here, okay? Ojulari doesn't even get a hand on him. Jabril Cox got tripped up a little bit by the guy who missed the block on Ojulari, but he still is our most athletic linebacker. He can't bring him down either, okay? So a lot like Hawaii, they had the guys right there to make the play. You just couldn't make it. Now, why is it that I don't like Jacoby Stevens and running our safeties into the box? Well, every time you do that, okay, every time you run your safety into the box, you're essentially taking out a last line of defense, essentially. So, Jacoby Stevens runs, he can still defend the motion guy right here, okay, from where he is, and then just still step up and make the tackle. But because you have one of your safeties all the way up here, if this running back breaks this initial line of defense, that's one less defender that's going to be back here to potentially make a touchdown-saving tackle. Okay? Cordell Flott can't get off the block here. Cam Lewis, a backup safety, late to see what's going on. Kind of hard to blame him on this play. But that's just my personal preference here. This is actually a really good rep here by our guy, DAMONE Clark. Obviously, we all want him to bounce back and have a big year. So, Ali Gay crashes down to fill this B gap right here. He does a good job of sitting. And you see he gets a hand on this guard to help get this guard off balance to not get a clean release on Clark on the second level. You saw that clip earlier where Leatherwood was able to get to Clark very easy. So this time we do a good job filling the run and clogging up some holes here. And guess what? Harris, a lot like Najee Harris, sees that Ali Gay crashed inside. So guess what he's going to do? He's going to go where he saw that he crossed face, and he's going to get vertical. But DAMONE Clark does a good job filling right here, and you notice he just sits right here. So if he were to go this way, Clark would just run him down. But you see how he just squeezes this hole? This is really good stuff right here. Good job by Ali Gay to fight backside and just squeeze this hole. This is what a 4-3 is supposed to look like, folks. Just fighting through blocks, filling gaps, and we're able to make this play. And then eventually we get a stop on 4th down. Alrighty, so we showed you the good of DAMONE Clark. Now to the not so great. And here's the key thing. All right, Blake Baker, when he was brought in to be the linebackers coach, he said he saw LSU's linebackers playing with bad technique. I'll tell you this, they were better in the spring game compared to what they were the year before as far as their run fits. But this play right here was just a disaster on so many levels as far as pre-snap communication and all those things. Jake Peetz does something really smart. As you guys saw with Missouri and with Alabama, this is something that LSU's 4-3 really struggled with, was pre-snap motion. Whose job is it to pick up who pre-snap? Okay, so we see we got LSU's best player in motion here, all right? So we have to account for him on this motion. So now we're trying to communicate pre-snap who picks up this motion guy now. Okay, it seems like this would be Jordan Tolles' job, but as you can see here, this pre-snap motion actually draws Jared Small, and now we are all out of sorts, okay? So this is the issue I have with the 4-3 defense when it comes to run fits, especially with the modern offenses, was back then you just didn't have all these motions, okay? And when you run a 4-3 defense, the weakness of running a four-man front is always going to be the backside B gap. The B gap opposite the strong side, okay? Where there's not a guy sitting in there. You notice on this side B gap, and for those that don't know, the A gap is the gaps between the guards and the centers. The B gap's the gaps between the guards and the tackles, and the C gap is a gap between the tackle and the tight end, okay? And they're the same on both sides. So the backside B gap, away from the tight end to the weak side of the formation, is always going to be the weak spot of a 4-3 defense, okay? So in a Randian front, something called a tight front would feature a different type of front, and I won't go too deep into it. A 4-eye technique would be Rashard Lawrence right here, and then Tyler Shelvin would be straight head up on the center, and you would have another 4-eye technique shaded just a little bit over there, and you would have a standing outside linebacker right here. And the reason why that defense for Aranda was effective was because it clogged the middle, and it didn't expose your backside B gap, okay? And if DAMONE Clark is going to play this role, LSU's going to have to figure this out, okay? This is first down. So Jake Peetz watched a lot of film, obviously, and this pre-snap motion has us all confused, okay? So you notice we're pointing this way and trying to figure out, now Jordan Tolles is pointing this way, and Jared Small's out here as well, and you could just tell we're just all off balance, okay? But still, this should have been defended, okay? So good job right here, Neil Farrell, fighting with this double team, probably giving up a little too much ground. Chasen Hines, after a good start to this play, see, Hines has got to keep working to turn this guy this way. You notice right here, Joseph Evans does a good job fighting to this backside A of where this play was supposed to go. So TDP sees that. And if you look pre-snap here, it seems pretty simple here. All right? It is DAMONE Clark's job to fill this B gap if the ball were to bounce. But notice what happens, okay? Pre-snap, it seems as if Clark might have thought that right here, our guy Cordell Flott was going to sit right here, and he pick up this A, okay? And now this A gets clogged. So now it should be pretty simple. Once this A gets clogged up, good job by Sony Fanua getting inside next door's this tight end right here. Once this got clogged, we need DAMONE Clark to scrape over the top and make this play, but he doesn't, okay? That's the dangers of the 4-3 defense right there, because that backside B, okay, and I've brought it up on live streams a lot, that backside B has got to get filled, okay? If it doesn't get filled, you're going to get gashed. So what did Daronte Jones do to counter that after giving up a huge gain through his backside B gap? Well, let's take a look at this play right here, okay? And this play was really the first time we got to see Jake Peetz and Daronte Jones go to head-to-head. So guess what? Tyvis Price motions into the backfield, okay? And what LSU decides to do is use their defensive end and lined up in an Arandian tight front. Remember, Daronte Jones used to coach under Dave Aranda. That was a big reason why he got this job. So now we have a defensive end in this B gap. We then move our weak side end to this side B gap, okay? Now we're filling these B gaps. So what does Jake Peetz decide to do? Well, the cool thing is we did a full film study on this very play, and you can watch it in the top right corner of your screen. And we're actually going to cut this one a little bit short because we want you guys to be safe. Yes, the Sox. UCLA is going to be a tough matchup. Experienced offensive line, good backs, and a lot of you are saying we should clog the box to stop DTR. Well, in tomorrow's film study, I'm going to show you why potentially that could be a bad option. If you want to see the film study on this play, it is currently floating in your face. Also, we will put up championship week. What is LSU's worst quarter under Ed Orgeron? You can find that in the top left corner of your screen. Okay? It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Oh, yeah, we're doing bison tacos tonight. Let's go!